Hi guys, welcome back. All right, I wanted to come and give you a quick, and I promise I'm even going to set my timer on here to make sure that I stick to a short video. So just so you know, today there was a very interesting Facebook conversation on the cycling community page, and it was about, someone posed the question of, we're going into off season with biking, and someone posed the question about supplements, and I believe it was also about training programs, things like that. What would you recommend? And then, I got into a little bit of a back and forth with people because I just simply, was saying this is what I would use for myself and I would recommend. But again, it's personal choice. And that was creatine to do strength training once or twice a week. And we're talking specifically lower body. And core as well, but lower body once or twice a week, core you can do more often. But and using creatine with that, and the creatine has an interesting rap because back in the 80s and even into the 90s, people thought it caused a lot of bloating, and the science has kind of changed on that as we've been able to test it more and discover more about it. You're going to see me referring a little bit to notes here. I just want to make some notes so I can make this a quick video. So first of all supplements, creatine included, are absolutely optional. Never necessary. You honestly, like if you unless you get them prescribed by a doctor, it's just something that I would say try and see if you're interested. Like I said, the myth is that it causes bloating and weight gain, but the reality is the muscle cell's what's getting water brought to it. There's no water being brought underneath the skin, and I'll put a reference up here from one of my favorites in studying muscle hypertrophy, Brad Schoenfeld. He's just the guru, the guy. Very, very well-known doctor in the exercise science realm. And, he says, contrary to popular belief, creatine doesn't cause bloating. The increase in water is within the muscle, not beneath the skin. So allegations that creatine will puff you up like a water balloon are nothing more than hot air. Very good play on words there. So why do we use creatine? That's the other thing that in the conversation that was kind of hard to describe is, so a lot of endurance athletes who aren't coached or trained, one thing they might not understand is the reasoning you use creatine. Creatine is not used, it's not meant to help you have greater endurance. It's not meant to help you breathe more efficiently. It's not meant to help you avoid the bonk. It's not meant to avoid those typical things that we think about in cycling. Creatine is used mainly to help you lift heavier or gain fat-free muscle. So as a cyclist, what this means is we want to think about when we use it, how we use it, and use it in the proper way if you are going to use it. So I always want to make sure that people understand when you use a supplement, be sure you know the intended purpose. Why am I using this supplement? Well, for instance, with caffeine, another of the most safe, creatine and caffeine are known to be the safest and most well-researched supplements out there. Why do I use caffeine? Well, I use caffeine to give me a little bit of a boost, more energy, to fight fatigue. And so, I wouldn't use caffeine to hoping that I'm going to gain a bunch of muscle mass. You know, it might give me more energy in the gym, but that's about all. It's not going to actually create a situation where the muscles will hypertrophy under resistance training, which is what creatine does. So purpose of creatine when you're a cyclist, mainly, or any endurance athlete, is mainly going to be in the off season. Now I did use it during the season this year, and I had, I have beeping. Sorry. And I had great success. I felt like, but I don't know if that's attributed mainly to the creatine or not. I mean, that's all kind of the try and see approach. But when you're cycling, when you get to the off season, your cycling volume intensity generally is going to be lower. And when that happens, your body is kind of recalibrating itself, and so you can be more susceptible to weight gain, in particular in the form of fat gain, because, you know, one reason is we have to eat a lot more during cycling season, and so when you take that away and you're no longer cycling, but you are maybe not adjusting your intake of food as much, yeah, of course you're going to gain weight. So when you become susceptible to that, if you add a couple of days at least of resistance training, weight training, and you also are taking creatine, you can gain a small amount of muscle, and that can also help keep off or at least minimize fat gain. And which is what we want, because that muscle we can put to work. That muscle can create more strength, can create more power, can be used to give us more energy on the bike. The fat oxidizes, but not at the rate that what we want from our muscles. And that is another long conversation that I am not getting into right now. So, you know, if you're squatting 10 to 12 reps a couple days a week, your muscles are going to grow, especially if you're using creatine. Not huge amounts, but you will have muscle growth. If you don't want that, and there's benefits to that as well, but if you don't want that, but you want to get stronger legs, then creatine can also help you get there, not just... it can help you get the strength gains without necessarily the hypertrophy. And how that happens is you lift heavy, but you lift lower reps. So you're like 6 or less reps. And you'll gain strength, but you'll have minimal muscle growth. So, you know, kind of to wrap this up, creatine's most beneficial for cyclists when you're strength training. Not only are you giving your body a chance to gain more muscle, but you're also giving your body a chance to gain more strength, as we just talked about, and it helps your muscles recover a lot faster. That's another data point that's kind of new in the research. I'm going to end with also, like, I'll put a little link and slide on here, a 4-week study. It was very short, wasn't dedicated to cyclists, but just to overall muscular strength. But remember, that can also be so when you think about muscular strength through weight training, you want to think about once the off season ends and your legs are stronger, your core is stronger, we're going to translate that to the road. We're going to put those legs, those stronger legs to work on the road, and translate it into your cycling. So that is where the creatine advantage comes, is you gain the muscle and then we translate it to the road. You gain the strength and then we translate it to the road. So anyway, you can take a look at this study. Basically, they did a placebo and a creatine study, and the creatine supplementation group gained about a pound, but they lost more fat. They gained more muscle, and what was most interesting in that is that their squat, like 1 rep max, the heaviest amount they could lift for 1 rep was, now I didn't put the exact number down, so you'll have to check the link on this, but I believe it was an average of like 30 pounds heavier, maybe. I'm gonna have to check that, make sure. I'll correct it in the notes if I was wrong. I'm also gonna link to another great article that I found. It's Yellow Jersey, and they have a great reviewed article about creatine for endurance athletes that you can check out. So remember, you don't have to use it. It's just an idea for people who are interested in what they could do in the off season. So thanks for joining me. I'm planning on having an interesting winter spring setup with this COVID going on. And since I won't be seeing as many clients in my gym, I'm going to be doing more showing what I do bike training wise. So whenever you see the hashtag TF bike, Transform Fitness Bike, but I'll just use TF, hashtag TF bike, then you know that you're seeing something that's a bike post. And so you can search that hashtag and find some of my bike posts. And I'll be starting with probably this one. So thanks for joining me. I am timing out at 11 minutes. My goal was 10, so that was pretty darn close. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. Peace.